Welcome back to Compleat Magic. I'm Evan, and today we're going to be going over a pretty cool deck tech for a Simic commander with a twist. And you're going to want to stick around to the end because the GOAT card is particularly spicy for this one. All right, the first thing we're going to do is go over our commander and our companion we're playing with. So our commander is Imoti, Celebrant of Bounty. It's a 3/1 creature with Cascade, and also has spells you cast with mana value 6 or greater have Cascade, which is what we're really loving. But the fact that it has Cascade when it comes down is also pretty cool. Cascade basically says whenever you cast this spell, you're going to reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a non-land permanent with less converted mana cost or mana value, and then you're going to cast it for free. So what's extra spicy about that is if you cast a 7-drop, you might cascade into a 6-drop, which would also have Cascade because it's a cast. Pretty cool. And we also have Keruga, the Macrosage, which is a 5/4 dinosaur hippo. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card for each other permanent you control with CMC 3 or greater. It also has a stipulation where every card in our deck must have at least CMC of 3, except for land cards. So that's what we did. This is the perfect deck to use Keruga because we want big CMC cards anyways. And this is really nice. So if we don't have enough gas in our hand, got nothing to do, we can throw Keruga down. We're probably gonna draw a ton. So next up, let's go over the deck goals, what we're trying to do. Number 1 is Cascade with big fatties. We're trying to put down some monster creatures and just get extra value. A lot of times this is going to be enough in its own right to put us ahead to beat our opponents, but we're also going to be trying to cascade into ramp spells and draw spells that are going to give us a huge advantage with our hand and or with the number of lands we have on the battlefield. So that's nice, and what we're trying to do is kind of get ahead on resources early and then bring in our Wincons or some of our Shenanigans to really put the icing on the cake. So number 2 is just overwhelm our opponents with value, baby. All right, first category we have up here is ramp, which we have 18 of, because we're really gonna wanna be cascading into ramp early. And so we set ourselves up with a huge advantage over our opponents. And we actually have a couple cards with suspend, so we might have a turn 1 or 2 play to help us ramp before the turn 3 because of the Keruga restriction. Also, Hera is great, helps get a land in your graveyard, which might help with one of our strategies later. And we're just gonna keep these cards on here for a minute and then keep it rolling. So next up, we got 3 more ramp cards. Decanter's nice because it's basically like a reliquary tower on a stick, which we're gonna probably have some huge card draw turns. Somberwald's gonna help us ramp by 3. Really useful card in Commander, love it. And then here we go, we got some more good old Wood Elves. Jilanra, Caller of the Wirewood. This card's spicy because cast a spell with CMC 6 or greater, draw a card. So every time we do the thing that we want to do anyways for the deck, we can add this mana, draw an extra card. Beanstalk's got the adventure on it, so you can cast it for its adventure, exile it, and then cast it later. And it's a 7-drop, so you can cascade with it. Woo! Synergy. And then we got Gwenna, Eyes of Gaia, Farhaven Elf, and Solemn Simulacrum. Gwenna's nice because whenever you cast a creature spell, power 5 or greater, which is like a lot of the creatures in our deck, you're gonna put a counter on Gwenna and untap it. So you can keep adding mana, have some huge turns, and you gotta always love Saddest Robot. So here we got 3 more. Goreclaw and Croson Drover are particularly vicious in this deck because they're gonna discount a lot of our spells by 2, and that's gonna be super helpful to keep cascading multiple times in a turn. Inga and Eska, a new card from March the Machine, is gonna let us tap any of our creatures to add 1 mana of any color to cast creature spells, and there's a chance we might draw an extra card off it. Pretty spicy. And then our last 3, we got a battle card with Invasion of Zendikar. So this is basically like Explosive Vegetation. You go get 2 basics, but then you can attack it. You assign an opponent to protect it, and then once you defeat the battle, kind of like you would a Planeswalker, it turns into an Awakened Skyclave, which is a 4/4 Vigilance Haste. It's basically a land. It is land, and it can tap for 1 mana. So that's awesome. Thrix. It's got Flash, which is really helpful in this deck to cast them on opponent's turns. Also discounts all of our big spells by 1. And then Verdant Mastery, you can cast it for 4 technically, and ramps you by 2 plus 2. Pretty cool. All right, let's get into the card draw section. So we have 14 pieces of card draw, which is a lot, but once again, we're trying to cascade into things that give us value, ramp, card draw. Volo in particular can give us a ton of card draw because every time we cast a big creature or cascade into a creature, if it has a different creature type than one we've already cast, we can add that to Volo's journal and draw a bunch of cards at one time. So really cool, love this card. Once again, I'm gonna put 3 on the screen at a time. Greater Good is incredibly good in this deck, as in most decks, because if someone tries to board wipe or take out one of our big creatures, we can just sack it, draw a ton of cards. Grook's Uprising, we get benefits from every time we cast a creature, including Cascade. Same with Thunder Snapper for the bigger one. And also Grook's Uprising gives all of our creatures trample, which is huge. It'll help us trample over the enemy's creatures and might just get us a win on the spot. All right, and so next up we got some more goodies. Really like Rashmi in this deck because it gives you like a pseudo Cascade each turn. Bad at minimum is draw a card. Beast Whisperer, same thing as a couple other cards in the deck. Cast a creature, draw a card. Super valuable in a Cascade deck. And Tamiyo's Epiphany lets you scry 4, so you can really set up the top of your library before you cascade, and you get a couple card draws. So very, very helpful in a cascade. And then we got, everybody knows it, loves it, Mole Drifter, Tatyova, Shamanic Revelation. Just give us a bunch of card draw, and these 5 drops can be cascaded into very easily by a 6 drop or more being cast to cascade with our commanders. And then these last 2 are some bigger ones at 8 CMC, but they have Delve. So lots of ways to put stuff in our graveyard actually with cards like Harrow. Lets us put lands in the graveyard, and more than likely we're gonna have at least a few pieces to help discount these. And then we get to cascade after we get, before we get to do the abilities of the cards. So really cool in this deck. Love finding these kind of cards that give us lots of value without having to spend all 8 mana. All right, the next category we have is removal. This is tough because we gotta have at least 3 drops for each thing. We got a couple really good, normal removal spells, and Amphimutineer, removal on a body that exiles. Really cool, also has a really powerful encore ability. And then Druid of Purification, the more I play this card, the more I love it. Take out a lot of things with 1 creature. All 3 of these are gonna have like really strong ETB. Acidic Slime, you can take care of a lot of different things. Has that Death Touch to boot, Natural Reclamation. You're gonna be cascading, is what we're trying to do here. And then last three we got Sublime Epiphany, tons of value. All 3 of these you're gonna be able to cascade when you cast it if you have your commander on the battlefield. Terracodon's gonna take care of things with 9/9 body. How can you not love that? All right, so this is the big creatures section. All these creatures cost at least 6 CMC, so we're gonna be able to cascade when we cast them with our commander on the battlefield. These 2 right here, they already have Cascade and Flash, so we're gonna get double Cascade, and we can cast them at any time, which is super sneaky. Gonna let us do some broken things. And then we got some aquatic creatures, a crab, a turtle, and an elemental, so not necessarily aquatic. Both of these have channel abilities to give us extra value if we want to use the channel, or we could cast them as 7 drops, Cascade, and get big bodies on the board. Avenger's Zendikar, we're gonna make lots of plants, a lot of lands coming in the battlefield with our other spells. So this card can get really broken real quick. And here we have 3 more amazing cards. Diluvian Primordial, already gonna be able to cast a lot of things for free when it comes down. And we're also gonna be able to cascade with it. Tree Shaker Chimera, force everybody's creatures to block it, get through with the other creatures, and draw when it dies. Love this card. Maelstrom Colossus, cascade twice for 8 mana with a 7. And then our last three, these are our highest CMC creatures in the deck. We got an Eldrazi that helps you bring something back from the battlefield when it comes in. Annihilator 2. Apex Devastator. Basically says Cascade 5 times in this deck, which is absurd. Primeval Protector is an 11 drop you can probably cast for much cheaper. Put a counter on each of your other creatures. It's a 10/10. But just imagine if you cast Primeval, Cascade into Apex Devastator, Cascade into Artisan Cost. Like you can have some crazy string of Cascade in this deck. All right, and this is our Wincons category. We have plenty of ways to win, either just by winning by pure value, taking out everybody's stuff, or just giving trample to our creatures. But these three cards in particular, when we play them, more than likely the game is about to end in our favor. Hullbreaker Horror. It's got flash, can't be countered. You can basically start countering spells, returning stuff to your opponent's hands every time you cast something. The game's gonna be really over with this sort of cascadey, cast a bunch of stuff. And then Endraze Forerunners and Crater Hoof. Basically, we're just gonna be swinging out. We're gonna have a ton of creatures on the board, hopefully, and be able to pump them up, give them trample, and just smash face. I love it. It's old school Magic, the way it was intended. All right, this is our Shenanigans category. So this category, we're basically trying to do some alternate things that can help us really get out of control. And those things are adding flash and untapping our lands. So Leyline of Anticipation and Vivian are both gonna let us cast creature spells with flash, which is extremely powerful. Wilderness Reclamation lets us untap all of our lands at the end of our turn, so we can essentially keep cascading to our heart's content. And then we got one more in here. We got Crystal Shard. So this thing's sweet because we can, just for one island, tap it, send one of these big creatures back to our hand, recast it, cascade, just keep the value train rolling. And that leads us into our GOAT of the deck, the best card in the entire deck, which is actually the best card in a lot of green decks, but in this deck, it's extra special, and that is Seedborn Muse. So Seedborn Muse, a lot of you guys know it. You're gonna be able to untap all your permanents during each other player's untap step. But in this deck, especially if we can give our creature spells flash, we're going to be able to untap everything, cast these big bad spells that cost 6 CMC or more, cascade, get more lands, and then on the next player's upkeep, hopefully we'll have even more mana. And we can really do so much damage one turn around the table. It's not even funny. So Seedborn Muse, you're the GOAT, best card in the deck. And then for lands, we got 38 lands total, because we can't really ramp before turn 3 very easily. So we need plenty of lands to make sure we don't miss our land drops. A lot of basic lands in this deck because we have a lot of cards that fetch basics. So we got 12 islands and 15 forests. And then we have some noteworthy land cards here. Reliquary Tower helping us have no maximum hand size. Glass Pool can help copy some of these sweet ETB effects our creatures have by copying a creature. Alchemist Refuge can give us flash for the turn, which can help us sneak in a really big spell or really big cascadable. You gotta love Boseiju. It's removal on a land, extremely powerful. There's a reason it costs a good bit of money. If you're trying to build a budget version of the deck, cards like this and Crater Hoof, you can definitely find a replacement for. Path to Ancestry, really nice because it scries when you play your commander. So right off the bat, your commander cascades. You can scry first and maybe get a better pool. And Blast Zone, starting to love this land more and more. You can put counters on it and destroy things. Pretty cool. A lot of people don't see it coming. And then we got some more non-basics, normal stuff for a 2-color deck, and a couple more. Once again, liking the scry on Temple of Mastery. So there we have it. There's our deck tech for Imoti with a Keruga Companion Cascade deck. Let us know what you think. The deck tech is in the link in the description, and let us know what deck you want us to build out next, and maybe we'll check it out. And make sure you go ahead and like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more sweet deck techs. Have a good one.